Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and today I have another review for you from an actor who played the villain in Theater of Blood. Has actually texted me to review a short film that he directed in 2011 as kind of a tribute to George Romero, called They're Going to Get You, which obviously you can tell where the title came from. So we have two brothers, and what's interesting is the film is directed by Victor Gasper with Victor Gasper Productions, and the brothers who play in here are real brothers in real life. Victor Gasper and Gary Gasper play Rick and I believe Lee. So ultimately, in the very beginning of this film, we see that I believe that there is a poem that is read by Fred Slayer, called "The Dead," in the very beginning, as we see doctors are apparently treating what looks like the apparently undead, and then we see a news report on the outbreak that is beginning to happen, and then we see an interview with a doctor involved, and the reporter that is asking the doctor questions, is there any kind of a cure? And he says no, that there is not. So ultimately, we see the two brothers, Lee and Rick. They're in the cemetery, and then they end up going along a bridge on their way home, and they are obviously on their own. So next we see a young woman by the name of Barbara. She is running from a horde of zombies, a horde of the undead, and she ends up running and finding her way to the home of Lee and Rick. And Lee warns against bringing her inside, but Rick wants to help her. So they let her in, and so Rick and Barbara begin to talk, and after they get to know each other just a little bit, they go to sleep. During the night, Barbara seems to have a nightmare, and we see what happens to her mother and father when the military came, because she doesn't trust the military. Evidently, two men showed up dressed as military, saying that they were the military, and they shot her parents in cold blood and tried to rape her. So there is PTSD, I believe, involved in this, as well as, being on your own. It's kind of a survival movie. So ultimately, I enjoyed this film. I enjoyed seeing how young Victor Gasper looked in here, and how human he was in here. Whereas far as in Theater of Horror, much later, he has much more of an evil personality, sort of, kind of a comedy to him. So this one was definitely a little darker for him, but I can see exactly why he dedicated this to George Romero. So, um, as far as Barbara's acting and Victor's acting, I thought that they were relatively decent. I do think that Gary, on the other hand, isn't that great of an actor, but I understand having to use a family and having to use brothers and or having to have brothers in the film, and who better than to use his own brother for that character. So I relatively enjoyed this film. It did make it into the Queen's Film Festival, from what I understand, and I don't think it was that bad. I mean, I thought that the special effects in here weren't too bad either. I mean, blood splashed on the screen, so um, I mean, it wasn't the greatest film, but it wasn't the worst film either. And I'm sure um, at the time that this film came out, maybe it didn't have a good reception. Who knows? Many filmmakers um, have a lot of setbacks, and some people don't like films like this. I do. I like this shot on video feel, and I hope that other people are able to enjoy this film as well, the way that I did. So, in any case, hopefully you enjoyed listening to my description of this film. Definitely like and subscribe to my page if you have not. Check out some of my other reviews, and hopefully I'll have some more cool reviews of coming out in the future. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for the traffic, and have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate you ahead of time.